Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here, Secretary. As the Chairman mentioned, it's the first time I can ever remember, and maybe the first time ever, that the Secretary has appeared before this committee along with the Chief of the Forest Service, and it's almost, when I look back at it, it was almost like there was the Department of Agriculture and the Forest Service. And the Forest Service is going to stay under the Department of Agriculture. We've had hearings and stuff about trying to move them over into a land management agency with Interior. I don't see that happening. They do a good job where they're at. In fact, I will tell you, I've had a lot of dealings with the Forest Service over the years, and while we sometimes complain about them because, you know, I count 62 people in this room. That means there's 62 different people or 62 different ideas about what ought to be done with the national forests and how any particular decision ought to be made. So these are public lands, and the public has a right to say how they're managed. The question is, and you brought it up with the Cottonwood case and other things, how do you maintain the public's right to have a say in how their public lands are managed and yet get on with managing instead of spending all the resources we use in lawsuits? I once asked a former chief of the Forest Service, when you decide to make a decision on, say, a timber cut or any decision that you make, how much of the money is spent making what you believe to be a good, sound, scientific decision, and how much trying to make it bulletproof from a lawsuit? And he said, you know, given the decision, it's probably between 25 and 50% on making a good, sound, scientific decision, and between 50 and 75% trying to make it bulletproof. Wouldn't it be nice if we could use some of that money to actually manage the public lands? In this Cottonwood case, and I'm glad you brought it up, it is a perplexing problem that we need to address legislatively. I don't have the answer about how we change some of these laws, and you could go through the litany of them, to maintain the public's right to have a say and yet streamline it. But we've created situations where you can get sued at every step of the way, and there are multiple steps all along the way, and it's just unmanageable, frankly. But thank you also for mentioning the fire borrowing. We need your help. We need Secretary Zinke's help, along with this committee's, to make everyone understand the importance of addressing this issue. The fire borrowing has gotten out of hand. When 53% of your budget goes to fighting wildfires, that means there's no money left for anything else. That's one of the reasons my constituents complain about the Forest Service. They're not doing any trail maintenance. They're not doing fuels reduction or whatever. And I noticed in your budget that hazardous fuels reduction numbers are down, trail maintenance numbers are down, land and water conservation numbers are down. Well, we're spending all the money on fighting wildfires. And when they come up to me and say, you know, I was out hiking and they hadn't done any maintenance on this trail, why haven't they? I say, well, you know, we've appropriated money for them, but guess what? It's gone to fight wildfires.